step, and that is to set a waypoint.
Yeah.
Now this is the part where we often in class get all kinds of questions, and I'm just going to give the definition that we use.
Okay, cool.
So the waypoint is, it's a moment, a situation, anything really that clearly and measurably indicates a positive change, however small. That's the definition.
That's a good definition. I
So,
almost could have written this myself.
most probably you did. Now the big thing is, as long as it's a noticeable change,
Yeah.
just to start that
Yeah.
spiral, because we often talk about a spiral, I believe.
Correct. That's Dr. Longacre who taught us that. Yeah. So you want me to elaborate on
Yes,
this?
please.
Okay. Now I believe, and I'm not sure whether any other training institute actually teaches anything about a waypoint. I'm not sure about that. But in my opinion, I think a waypoint, a measurable point where you know that this is working. I mean, I say to clients, you're investing time and finances to achieve your goal. And you know, if you study with us, you know that we say engage your clients in a 3-tiered session program. It could take longer. But how do we know that we're actually making headway? How do we know that this works? What's the point of going in session number 2, session number 3, when you haven't had, however minute, success with session number 1? I call this setting yourself and your client up for success. Now the beauty of it is, if you pull back this waypoint so I don't want to say low, but so minute that it kind of guarantees a success, that's what we want to do. Think about somebody who is dieting, who has a little of a weight issue. What are they doing with their diets? They're adding failure to failure to failure to failure, isn't that? Yes. All right? Now, what kind of mindset does the person come to you that I probably fail again? And that's what we're trying to get out of the way with the first session. So we need to set a waypoint. No, that's very wrong what I said. Not we are setting the waypoint. We're helping our client to set a waypoint that is totally achievable. Yes. That's the secret. It has to be just a moment. It doesn't have to be a big change. And this you need to establish with your client, help your client to establish. How would you know, let's say a weight client, yes. How would you know that you're getting better? So the client could say, if I've lost 21 grams in the first week, hello? Is it doable? Yes. Is it really noticeable? No. If I fit more easy in my jeans, or I pick out that pair of jeans that I haven't worn for 3 weeks because I've just went over that limit, would that be noticeable? Would that be doable? Absolutely. If somebody is insomniac, for example, they claim they never sleep. Now we need to discuss that in another snapshot. Is that really the specific problem? But how would you know you're getting better? Is it that you fall asleep easier? Is that you're not waking up as many times? Is it how you feel the next morning?
So if I understand you correctly, this point we're talking about is a point on the way to the ultimate goal.
That's right.
And because I find often that people have these big goals, but they're not having these smaller bits to get there. So they get despondent because they're not knowing if they're on the right track.
You have to be despondent because usually the outcome objective, because if you're really in the pits with your problem, your outcome objective is so far in the future that that's why you go to a hypnotherapist. You think you're never going to get there by yourself. But if you cut this into, and the first one is the critical one, it needs to be so close to home that when that moment comes and you say, yay, I've done it, I've got a success, however tiny, your whole neurology changes because now you start believing that you can. So you're setting up a row of little successes towards the big success. That's what I want to say to it.
The waypoint is important, so we just need to summarize because I found that we are emotion hunters.
Absolutely.
That's what we're after.
It's a good way.
Yeah. But how do you measure that? That's very difficult. So
it can go undetected. It can be so fleeting, especially after the first session, that it goes unnoticed. Yeah. And that's the problem.
Yeah. And that's why we need to connect it to something tangible.
Yeah.
And the way that's the easiest to connect it to an event.
Yeah.
And when you do that, then the client can say,
Yeah. Didn't you tell me about the client who had this low self-esteem and then said, I never do anything for myself to make myself feel better, and then she chose as a waypoint, go and have your hair cut.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds maybe for me or for you as a listening into that, how can that be a waypoint? I mean, I do this every month, but for her, it's a big thing.
Big step.
And that's where the client-centeredness comes in again. We just merely help. Is it doable? Is it reasonable? Is success guaranteed towards the next session? Because that's what we want.
And going to that event it invokes a lot of emotions for her.
Yeah.
And when she does it, the feeling that she gets afterwards.
And now we have a secret that only hypnotherapists have, because we can link this to a post-hypnotic suggestion.
Yes.
And that is the magic. In the pre-talk, while we're not in trance, we assess whether that's the right thing. During trance, we make sure that the waypoint still remains valid.
Yes.
If it remains valid, we can add this to our post-hypnotic suggestion. So when the moment comes of that success that the client anticipates, it gets highlighted, it gets, I don't want to say blown up, but it becomes really part of the client's neurology.
Yeah.
Hey, this is happening. This whole process I do with my therapist is working. And that's how we set ourselves up for success.